Hey guys, Fhraelaok here with an early video again, episode 3 of my leadership videos. In my last video, I talked about general guild leading and managing your guild. In this video, I am going to discuss loot. One of the biggest issues that will make or break your guild in World of Warcraft primarily is loot. Loot distribution, getting it or not managing to get it, etc. So again, this is a video with just a background of a Minecraft world, another Minecraft world, so you do not have to watch it, but do listen to it so you can farm, maybe go pick some herbs, do some fletching, fire making, wood cutting, whatever you want to do while watching or while listening. This video is definitely not going to be as long as my other leadership videos, as it's just discussing loot. Kind of a specialty video for this one. Now, like I said, loot can make or break your guild. If you have special rules that only your core raiders get loot over other raiders, or only your core raiders will get it over initiates, and no initiate can get gear, that can hurt your initiates' morale, and that can cause them to leave the guild. Maybe they were a good player. Now, deciding loot rules is going to be the biggest dilemma for you. Finding something that works for your entire guild, and it's just, you're never going to find something that really does work for your entire guild. Sorry. Gotta face facts. You're not going to. You can try your hardest, but it is going to be literally impossible to find something that works for everyone. Now, I guess I'll discuss some different types of loot systems, as I think of them. They're in no particular order of best to worst, worst to best, etc. Or most used to least used, just as I think of them. Now, this actually is probably one of the most used, and that's open roll. Full-out open roll, which is, need over greed, pretty much. If you need it, you're going to roll on it. And highest roller wins. Now, this is complete random number generated, because, you do the same thing as /random and /roll are basically the same thing, and you can put in a number or automatic. Now, there's a lot of different versions of this, but just a general open roll is, you just /roll, the highest number wins that piece of loot. Now this is, if you can't really think of a good system that works for everybody, probably one of the fairest ways to do loot, as you don't choose who gets it, the game randomly gets to choose who gets it. So if you're mad about it, be mad at the game for not giving you a higher number, or for giving them a higher number than you, because that's all you can do. Now, a lot of guilds may use this system, but not completely as open roll. They might add in a little loot council. So if you win the roll, well, let's see what you got on. If it's a side grade, we're probably going to give it to somebody else. Maybe this person has been with us a long time, and, he really needs it, and you don't need it as much as he does. You know what? We're just going to give it to him. Now, that might make some people angry, but a lot of guilds will add that loot council effect in, but still keep the open roll thing going on. Others will do kind of a roll system, but it's not purely open roll. For example, let's see. They do a roll system based on priorities. Say you haven't won loot in a long time. So you're like, well, okay, you haven't won loot in a long time. If you haven't gotten loot, say last week at all, you get a modifier of maybe +10 onto your roll. So every time you roll until you get a piece of gear. So say you roll an 80, and another person rolls an 85. Well, you win because your modifier gave you a 90. So 90 is greater than 85. Now that, to a point, is fair because it gives people who have not won something a bit of an advantage over those who have won something. And it really does seem kind of fair, but at the same time, you know what, you're still using an open role system, and it's not really fair to customize it to twist it towards certain people's favors. So that's kind of a hard one. Another one is DKP. Now, I don't know how awful popular it is anymore. I don't see a lot of people using it. But DKP stands for Dragon Kill Points. Originally introduced in EverQuest, it now is a popular WoW system as well, or at least it was. I don't know what it is anymore. But there's different versions of it, just like an open role type of system. And you gather points. You collect points and earn points over time. Now, you earn points for a variety of things. You can earn it for showing early to a raid, just showing for a raid, staying through an entire raid, downing a boss, maybe even passing on loot for somebody else, or depositing things to the guild bank, farming for the guild, bringing regents or, supplies to the raid, or assisting leading a night. Maybe the leader was sick, but he could still play. He just, had a hoarse voice, so he wasn't able to talk. But you knew the fights, and you were willing to help him lead it. So he's like, alright, thank you for helping me. I'll give you an extra 5 DKP for the night. I mean, it's kind of subject to what you feel like. That's one that is fully customizable. You can choose how many points you get, and for what. You can choose how many points gear costs. You can have a bid system. The most popular is a bid system. So most people will privately bid how much that gear is worth to them compared to their points. And will whisper it to the leader. The leader will then see who bid the highest, and will probably, will or will not ask, okay, all the things are in. Does anybody want to change them? If you wish to change them, please whisper me in the next 10 seconds with your new bid. And, you can do that, or you can just take the first ones and be happy with that, and then the highest bidder gets the gear, you give it to them, and you take off their points for that. Now, when you do that, you can just do it by writing it down, but I think the best way is to have an add-on for it. We have an intruding spy chicken duck thing, so I'm going to turn the volume down because he's going to squawk all over. But basically, you want an add-on. That way everybody else can view it too, and that way they can say exclamation point DKP or, whatever, and it will whisper right back to them how many they have. And you can have them in multiple tiers. You can have them specifically for tier pieces, or specifically for, and specifically for other pieces, or you can have them for both, or for BOEs and for BOPs. Well, you can get a BOE epic, but you accumulate these certain points, so that's completely different. Or main spec and off spec points. Or, it's completely customizable. If you're interested in more about that, I do have a video, and of course I'll come out with another video explaining it if you need me to. Now that's DKP. Like I said, there's a lot of different variations. I'm not really going to get into them. Now there's Loot Council. There's another one. Now that is completely, you have a set of people, not just one person. Please don't have just one person. That decides who gets what loot. You do not roll on it. You might roll for interest. We used to do that in my guild. We used to, slash roll for interest. It doesn't matter what you roll, so don't be upset about rolling a 1 and somebody rolls a 100. Matters not. And then we look and we ask you, link what's in that slot. You link, and we decide. So we decide, oh man, well, they could both use it a lot, but this guy raids with us a lot more. He's always on time. He's always putting in good effort. Alright, give it to that guy. So that guy gets it, you move on. Now, so far, the fastest method is open roll. And that's what Loot Council is, just plain and simple. Like I said, you can mix it with a variety of different loot systems as well. Next is Suicide Kings. You do just that. You basically suicide yourself to a bottom of a list after winning something. Now, you have a priority, and there's a list of people on that priority list. Let's say it's for a 25-man, And a lot of you cloth wearers want this chest. A nice cloth chest drops. Like 8 of you want it. But we don't ask who wants it yet. We look down the list, alright? And you see the first person who could use it. You ask them, are you interested in it? You know, doing so will suicide you to the bottom of the list. Or actually, I guess you could probably just do a /roll for interest, or who wants it. And then if you have only one person, you don't have to suicide them down to the bottom of the list, but it's preferable you do, because they might have been the only person who needs that loot, but the next person might need another piece of loot. Alright, and that person might need it too, and it's not really fair for them to get 2 if you're using the system, so there you go. Forget what I originally said. Whether the person wants it and another person does or not, if it's only that one person who wants it, they still get suicided to the bottom of the list. So, you're going through your list, and what you do is you take that person down, and you take them to the bottom of the list. Everybody else moves up one. Now, if you have somebody else roll in, now let's say you're raiding with somebody completely new. This system is a little bit harder to manage with a new person. Sorry if I'm throwing you off. This one is a little complicated and confusing. You can have them roll in. So, say you have 30 people on the list. Say, roll /roll 1 to 31. Say they roll 7. Alright, you pop him in place number 7 on that list. Everybody else below, or everybody else 7 and below moves down, and 1 through 6 stay the same, and he pops into 7. So you can do that. That's probably the fairest way, because everybody else rolled that way to get in. Unfortunately, you might say, well, shoot, now he's 1 space ahead of me, he's going to get my trinket. And it never drops. Sorry, I mean, they did raid with you. There's just a lot of loot systems out there. You gotta find what's perfect for your guild. And sometimes that'll be trying different things and seeing what actually works. Don't ever think that a loot system is gonna be perfect forever. But always have proof of what your loot system is at as well. Don't just let it be this random thing out there. Now, my point of loot will make or break the guild is because if somebody doesn't get a piece of loot that they really want, and somebody who maybe doesn't really need it much gets it, that person's going to be so mad and so upset that they didn't get it. Even if both people really needed it, both people raid a lot. The person who doesn't get it's usually going to be upset. And sure, you can say, you know, it's just a pixel, it doesn't really matter, don't get upset over it, you know. We'll give you the next piece. Anything like that, it's not going to work. And don't ever give a special case to somebody of, well, you haven't gotten loot in a while, and, you know, we're just going to give it to you. No, if everybody is okay with that, alright. But if only you as the leader is okay with that, it's not okay to do. Now, also, pugs have an equal right to every piece of gear. They do. Alright? Even tier pieces. Unless you state strictly ahead of time what loot they can or cannot roll on and have. If you tell them, you can roll on everything except tier pieces, then they know. If they get upset over not being able to roll on tier pieces, you told them. They have nothing to cry and whine about. If you don't say it and then say, oh, sorry, the tier piece is only for guildies, they have every right to rage about that and diss your guild. Because you lied to them. Well, you didn't lie to them. You withheld the truth. You didn't tell them. And a lot of people will tell you, well, you shouldn't have told them about that. Now they're going to drop group. Yes, but it's better than having a bad name because you lied. But pugs put that same effort in that night that your guildies did, and it was that night that loot dropped. So they have an equal right to it, unless you stayed ahead of time and they understand and agree to it. Always make sure people understand that. It's very, very important. Like I said, this was... Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic. Like I said, this was just going to be a shorter video. We're up to about 15 minutes now. Just about some loot things. You gotta work with your team on loot. And specifically with your team and guild. And I would suggest that you find something that if you have 2 teams in your guild, that works for both teams. And keep it the same between the teams. Perhaps if you're using DKP, it's the same point system for both teams, alright? Sure, Team 2 might not be the core team and might not raid as much, so they don't get as many points, but that also means that because they don't raid as much, they're not going to get as much loot if they happen to group with the core team for a night. So really, that's probably one of the fairest systems to keep amongst multiple teams in one guild. So consider that. Now, I'm probably going to put up a video about different loot systems, just because, I mean, it's very complicated, each different system. I already have videos, but if you'd like something specific, please just, leave a comment or send me a message, and it will come out. Now, I will have a leadership training video redo. I will be, basically just redoing it. So my old series I had of like 8 or so videos, I will go ahead and turn into one video, but re-record it, update it, because that one is very out of date, and modernize it and make it more understandable for people, and just a new video. So, yeah. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, guys, please be sure to thumbs up and subscribe. Sorry about it being so short, not really too many details in it, but it was just a general overview that I wanted to pop out. I didn't have a ton of time for this one, but I still wanted to give you a video. So, alright, like I said, thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.